Alrighty, so the final game involving an MLS team in the CONCACAF Champions Cup first round, first leg is in the books. And I think one thing we learned, at least in these last two games in the CONCACAF Champions Cup involving MLS team, is that it's definitely not as one sided as what we saw earlier this week, where we saw a couple of teams just absolutely put to the sword against their CONCACAF Champions Cup opponent. And I think the reason why is that this is a good reminder, as we've seen in these last two games that MLS team play in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, that it's not easy to basically get ready for the first game of the season and going down to Central America to face against your opposition. I mean, again, we saw the likes of Philly and Cincinnati was able to dominate in their first leg, but a big part of that is because Caribbean teams are definitely much weaker compared to Central America team, and it's also important to know that both Cincinnati and the Philadelphia Union were playing against teams that pretty much have very low crowd in the stands. At least in these last two games for the Galaxy playing San Miguelito, and then what we saw with Vancouver playing against Cartagenes, there was fans in the stands, and they definitely were putting a party atmosphere, at least in these last two games. And I also would say that this is why it's so impressive of what LAFC did the other night against Real Espanol, where they won 6-1. That was very unprecedented, especially with them not only playing their first game, but you just don't usually see an MLS team just go down to Central America against a Central American opponent in hostile territory and just put up an absolute number, an absolute belt to ass kind of the beat down like LAFC did. But with that being said, let's get to this game itself between the Galaxy and San Miguelito. And unlike where Vancouver and Cartagenes was held to a 0-0 draw, there was goals in this game, and the Galaxy actually found themselves down for most part of this game as well. But early on, the Galaxy was definitely sitting back early and allowed San Miguelito to control the game. Something tells me that has a lot to do with the fact that since this is the first competitive game for them, they were just trying to get a feel out of this game. For the rest of the game, this wasn't kind of the case. The Galaxy kind of dominated possession. Hack with the game's first shot, but he hits it wide in the 8th minute before Calderon denied Nascimento from close in the 14th minute. By the way, this is also when my area started to suffer a power outage. So basically, I had a lot of trouble in terms of watching the game because the Wi-Fi is definitely not there. I don't really have the best cellular data, so definitely probably missed some action during this point. But nevertheless, the Galaxy definitely started to get into this game and look for the opener. And by the way, the power did eventually went out as we hit to the half-hour mark of this game. Ramirez would then puts it high from long range. The shots were 9-0 for the Galaxy, but only two shots on goal for the Galaxy out of those nine. And this would be a theme for the Galaxy in this one, where they were putting a lot of shots in this one, but they weren't really troubling the San Miguelito netminder that much, and that's kind of the thing that kind of frustrated them throughout this game, where they just aren't able to put in enough dangerous chances to really test the San Miguelito team. The Galaxy, though, I will say, would start to ramp up the pressure and look for the opener. Cuevas would then heads it high from close before Peck had a shot that was deflected and goes wide. Glesnes then heads it high from the corner in the 36th minute. The shots were now 12-1 in favor of the Galaxy. However, in the 37th minute, completely against the run of play, San Miguelito scored. As Teo would score from Valencia to make it 1-0 in favor of San Miguelito. That was only the second shot for the host as well. So yeah, talk about a complete uh, uh, gut punch for the Galaxy. I mean, and also in that play, that was not great defending for the Galaxy. And this is kind of my concern with the Galaxy heading into this season. And hopefully they'll figure this out where just simply cannot let a player wide open there in the back post. I mean, Teo was just completely left unmarked whatsoever. I even was asking who in the world was marking him because with him being so wide open like that and getting a free header, no wonder why the Galaxy was punished there. So yeah, San Miguelito with a surprising 1-0 lead. Painso did look to respond just 7 minutes later, but he hits it right to Calderon. But we do head to halftime with the host, San Miguelito, was a surprising 1-0 lead over the Galaxy. In the second half, Painso would then puts it over from long range. The Galaxy was definitely pushing the lines of confrontation much higher, but this also means that this allows San Miguelito to get a lot of great counter attacking moment. And I was kind of a little nervous in terms of seeing how the Galaxy were getting countered by San Miguelito there, because there was just way too many times where the Panamanian side had so much space on the counter as well. Berea would then hit it wide from close in the 51st minute before Cerreo would blast one to the Panama Canal in the 53rd minute. You just kind of had a sense the Galaxy need to bring more attacking power. I mean, coming into this game, there were a couple of starters that they decided not to put in this one, and you can clearly see that they definitely miss those starters. The likes of Royce and Klaus would definitely be a big help in terms of this attack, and it seems like Greg Vanny probably heard what I said, because the attacking cavalry quickly came in as both Klaus and Royce was summoned into this game. Peck with an unbelievable scissor kick attempt volley that goes wide. I mean, if that would went in, that would have been definitely been in contention for goal of the tournament in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. But nevertheless, in the 68th minute, Galaxy does equalize as Joseph Painso would score from Klaus to tie the game up at one apiece. So great debut there from Charles Klaus, even if he didn't end up on the score sheet as he probably they hope that he would be. At least he gets an assist in this one. It was a bit of a scrappy goal as well. I mean, this one kind of pinball in the box and kind of fall into Klaus that sets up Painso there, who had a pretty wide open look from 12 yards out, and just like that, the game was tied up at one apiece. There was a shout for a penalty for the Galaxy, not given, and in fact, it wasn't just not given; it was actually given the other way. It was actually a foul on João Klaus, and he was not happy. He felt like it should go the other way as well. And I think he has a point, because when I saw the one replay of it, yeah, you kind of had a sense that probably should have been given. But again, this is the CONCACAF Champions Cup. We know that when it comes to those decision that maybe could go either way, usually it goes against an MLS team. And that's just how the rule is. The Galaxy definitely dominate possession, but again, they got to be careful, because there's been a couple of times Sam Miguelito has looked really dangerous on the counter. There was a little shot cross there that just completely caught out JT Martin Calcier, and he is very fortunate that the post kind of saved him. Peck also blast one to the Panama Canal on the free kick in the 85th minute. Yeah, it was a rough game for Gabriel Peck in this one. Hopefully, this is not a sign of what we saw again like last season, where he kind of got off to a rough start to the season, and maybe just him just trying to get himself back to competitive fitness. Alba would then hits one right to Mark Sinkowski in the 88th minute before Avila would also hits one right to Mark Sinkowski from long range to the third minute of stoppage time. And then JT decided on the following play, where he was just kind of rolled the ball to Yoshida and started an attack, and that almost was a disaster, because he actually gave the ball away as he was trying to roll the ball to Yoshida. Yoshida with some heads up play to kind of bail him out and poke the ball away. But really, the fourth minute of stoppage time, you should not be doing that. And this, honestly, if this goal would have went in, I would have mean row. Yeah, that's the JT Marcinkowski that I know of, and why the Quakes kind of gave up on him there. At almost an absolute howler there, and almost a disastrous moment for the Galaxy. But the good news for the Galaxy, they do walk away with a 1-1 draw. They got that crucial away goal coming out of this one. The shots in this one, 18 shots with a 5 that's San Miguelito has. Both teams had 3 shots on goal, 10 shots off target with a 2 that San Miguelito has. No shots that was blocked with a 5 that the Galaxy had, and possession-wise, 68% possession compared to 32% possession that San Miguelito has in this game. So yeah, the Galaxy definitely wasn't one of their better games that they play. And again, like I said, this is something that we see this before. I mean, as much as we see the likes of Cincinnati and LAFC and even the Philadelphia Union just absolutely blown their CONCACAF Champions Cup opponent away, there's more times or not we see this happen where it is tough to go on the road. Your first competitive game down in Central America, face against a San Miguelito team that, just like what I said about Cartagena, I'm gonna not give them enough respect. I think they look like a sounded team in this one, and they almost stole this one as well. And I think that they'll definitely be having a lot of confidence heading into the second leg to see if they can pull off the ultimate upset. I mean, the good news again for the Galaxy, they got that away goal, and if you're not going to play well against a Central American opponent on the road, at least you get a draw. That's kind of the key with MLS team to move on into next round, is get a draw on the road, and if the second leg is going to be at home, then the advantage is definitely going to be in your favor, when you don't necessarily need to win the game can move on into the next round. A no draw would be enough for the Galaxy to move on to the next round. But I have a feeling Greg Vanny's side will be a little bit better heading into the next game. It just kind of looked like this was another classic example of an MLS team going to Central America, playing their first game of the season, and just look very rusty going forward at least, especially on the attacking end as well. But there you have it. That is pretty much it for the review of this final game involving MLS team in the CONCACAF Champions Cup in the first round, first leg. Next week we will finish up with the second leg of these rest of the CONCACAF Champions Cup game, and then we get to find out the round of 16 matchup and see more MLS team involving as well, because there were two MLS teams that gets the free pass of getting into round number 2. That is the Sounders and Inter Miami. We get a chance to see them play relatively soon, and I believe. Actually, I say relatively soon, but it's actually next month when the second round of the CONCACAF Champions Cup and the round of 16 officially begin. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.